Hey guys, this is Charlie from Team Argonauts. I'm going to be showing you today how to make these double-sided battle boards that I've been using for quite some time. They come in really handy and they're modular, meaning you can use them over and over for multiple scenarios. They're just really handy to have in your terrain toolbox. So let's get going. First off, you need a piece of 1-inch insulation styrofoam. When you go to the store, you'll see there's two different types, blue and pink. I prefer the blue. It's a bit stiffer. The pink is a little bit too soft and it doesn't really hold the texture as well as I'd like. You can find this at any big box hardware store, and it's not too expensive. Buy a 4x8 sheet of it, and it's definitely worth the investment because you'll be using every bit of it with the different projects I'll be showing you over the next few weeks. So step one is going to be to cut a big circle. I try to use about 24 inches, but you can do it whatever size you want, whatever suits your needs. Cut the circle, and then you find a rock, a good rock. You want it to be about the size of the palm of your hand. You take that rock and you roll it, pushing it into the styrofoam. You see that it's leaving a texture. It smashes and breaks into the surface of the styrofoam and leaves a real bumpy texture that's perfect for simulating stone. Roll the entire surface of your board until it's fully covered in the texture. I even take the rock and smash it in here and there to give it a little bit of extra detail. And here's a warning. This will kind of be tough on your hands. You might want to find a pair of leather gloves to wear while you do this. When I first started making these, I bruised the palm of my hand pretty well, so be careful. Don't hurt yourself. After you got your circle good in texture, you take a razor knife, start chopping the edges. Watch how I do it. You dig in at a 45-degree angle, rotate the knife, and it pops the chunk out. Do this randomly all the way around the edge, different angles. It gives a nice rocky texture to the corners. Once you're done with that, you take your razor knife and you slice that corner edge all the way around. You don't want any 90-degree angles on this. It just doesn't look right. Once you're done with that, you take your stone, smash and beat around the edges to texture those up to match the top of the board. Next up, you flip the board over. This is going to be your grass side, so you're going to do the exact same texture method, except you're not going to push as hard. You're going for a much softer texture here, so just roll it softly all the way around, covering the whole board. Just like before, slice that edge, but this time you're not going to texture it. You don't cut those chunks out. You just slice that corner all the way around, then use your rock, the good one, to texture that out and smooth off the angle. On this board, there was a big hole in the center from where I'd poked a paper clip through to draw my initial circle. It's an easy fix. Just squirt a little bit of glue in there, use a piece of scrap off the floor, tear it down to size, and stuff it in there. Easy fix. Next, you want to look over your board real good. Make sure you don't have any weird spots. Make sure texture's all evenly spread out on both sides. Make sure you've textured all the edges too. Now it's time to paint. We're going to start on the stone side. Just dump some black paint on it, throw a little bit of water in there to thin it out a bit so it gets down in all the little cracks and crevices, and spread it out. Do the top and the edges. You let all that dry. And now for the fun part. I don't really buy specific colors. Especially grays, I like to just mix them. Mix some black and some white. And basically the color scheme on this is you start with a darker gray and then use 3 different shades. A darker, then a little bit lighter, and then close to white. So here we're mixing just a dark gray mixed together. You get that going, then you use these sponges, just basic dollar store sponges. Get a little bit of water on it, get it wet, get a little bit wet, get it softened up. You pat the sponge into the paint, and then you just basically tap it across the board. Now the technique of using this sponge, you basically get the sponge tapped into the paint, and then you lightly tap it across the board. And you can see it hits the high spots and leaves the low spots black. Your first coat, you want to do about a 95% cover. You mix up throw a little more white on there, mix up a little bit lighter gray. Then you tap that and do about a 60-70% cover with the lighter gray. Then your third is almost white. Mix it real close white. And on this one, I don't mix the paint 100%. Leave the paint kind of splotchy. That way when you get it on the sponge, you have both white and dark splotches on it. It gives a real good variation in the color. Then you go around, tap that, hit that about a, let's say 30%. And there you go. There's your stone side. Stone side is done. Now flip the board over. It's time to start the grass side. You'll see we base coated this in black also. I'm using a citrus green acrylic. You want to start with a brighter color at first on this. You'll see why in a minute. Now we use the same sponge technique as we did on the other side, except this time you're going to use a more splotchy pattern. You want to create bright spots and lighter spots, spreading it out very unevenly across the board. You'll see the square sponge shape coming through. This is just the result of not distributing the pressure with your fingers on the sponge evenly as you push it down. But it can be easily fixed by going back over those edges intentionally. You'll get the feel for it pretty quick. It's not very hard. You want to create a spotty pattern, leaving some areas with less cover, and then you create sort of a path with a thicker, brighter layer moving across the board. This uneven color pattern we've created is very important for the next step. Find a darker green color. This is shamrock. The darker green you use, the better the effect will be. I go ahead and dump that onto the same palette as the light green. Dab it onto your sponge and start spreading it around, starting with the darkest areas of the board. Notice that I didn't mix the colors on my palette. I like to leave them unmixed. This way, when you dab the sponge into it, you get both of the two colors. As you tap these out, the colors will mix. This will help create a blended effect from the dark areas to the bright areas. You work that around the darker areas first, and then each time you go back to the palette, you're mixing the lighter green in with the darker green. This creates a slightly lighter version of your dark green, and it also leaves splotches of the brighter green. Gives you more to work with. At this point, you just have fun and use your artistic eye. Mix it in. Work the areas where it looks like it needs to be blended more, and do whatever you think looks best. And if you don't like the effect you're getting, go ahead and dump some more bright green paint onto another palette. If you notice, I use paper plates. You can buy them cheap and you can use as many as you want. Use that to lighten up the spots that you think need it, and because you're using regular cheap acrylic paint, you can do multiple layers until you get the effect you want. Once you get some practice with this, you can really come up with some cool effects. I'll put some pictures at the end of the video of some of my past boards like this that I've made. Some really neat stuff, and it's really fun. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to posting more in the near future. I'll see you next time, guys.